This movie opens with Joe, an elderly steel mill worker, walking into a bank where he's hit with bad news about his debt. The interest rate has gone up again, and he could even lose his house. The retiree argues with the banker when suddenly he hears gunshots. Robbers storm the bank and force everyone to the floor, but they cut Joe some slack and even show sympathy about his mortgage. One of the thieves tells him that society's duty is to take care of the older generation. Having done their job, the robbers take off. During the robbery, sharp-eyed Joe notices a tattoo on a thief's neck and later tells the police about it. Meeting up with his friends, Alan and Willy, he talks through what happened at the bank. Soon, all three receive identical letters. At a plant meeting, they're told the factory is shutting down and pension payments are frozen because of a banking crisis. The employees are in shock because it means they'll be left without a pension. Will lays into the plant's leadership with fierce criticism. The friends decide to meet at a cafe to figure out what to do next, and Joe just can't get that robbery out of his head. After a nice meetup with his buddies, soured by the need to pinch pennies, the old man heads home, where a new blow lands, an eviction notice. Willy isn't doing any better. He urgently needs an expensive kidney transplant, but he's at the bottom of the list because he has no money. The doctor says he doesn't have much time left. He's advised to talk to his family, which he does, but he can't bring himself to confess all his problems. Al has a different problem. He suffers from loneliness and often spends the night with Willy. Trying to fill the void somehow, he gives saxophone lessons, but realizes his student has absolutely no talent. He tells this to Anne, the boy's grandmother, who remembers how brilliantly Al himself once played that beautiful instrument. She absolutely loved it. Anne flirts with Al. It's obvious to the naked eye that she's got a huge soft spot for him. Joe picks up his granddaughter from school, and she shows him a biology test she aced. The girl reminds him that for top grades, Grandpa promised to buy her a puppy. In the evening, the friends celebrate Willy's birthday and give him a wristwatch with his granddaughter's photo inside. Money is tight as it is, but they can't help making their friend happy. Suddenly, swept up in the moment, Joe voices his idea about robbing a bank. The friends laugh it off, convinced he's joking. He proves he's dead serious by showing an eviction notice that comes due in a month. He's not about to lose the house where he lives with his daughter and granddaughter. Joe suggests his friends help him pull off the caper to set things right and secure a comfortable old age. What do they have to lose? Worst case, they get locked up, where 3 meals a day and solid medical care await. He assures them they won't get caught, because they've got experience and wisdom on their side. But the friends treat the idea skeptically. Late that night, Joe answers a call from Willy, who, blowing out his candles, wished for a life better than the one he has now. He's the first to agree to the heist. The two of them set out to persuade Al as well. Their friend resists for a long time, but in the end, Joe talks him into it too. One early morning, they decide to practice at a supermarket. Wearing caps and sunglasses as a disguise, Joe and Willy head to work, leaving Al, who still isn't keen on any of this, to watch the car. In the store, Joe carefully slips a bag of chips into his pants, while Willy tries to steal a chicken. Al can't stand the wait and heads inside too. Annie, the mother of his student, works here. She volunteers to help him pick out groceries. Joe, sticking to the plan, nicks a bag of flour, but a female security guard is already getting suspicious. Annie does her best to please Al, yet he seems to sense her enthusiasm and immediately admits he isn't looking for any kind of close relationship. Suddenly, security is called over the loudspeaker. Trying to escape, Joe and Willy hijack a mobility scooter with a basket, and the chase is on. They nearly collide with a bus and get caught. The store's senior manager, however, lets them go with a sigh, merely noting they have senior discounts. Al is deeply offended by his pals for putting him in that spot, and he drives off away from the friends. Joe realizes they need someone experienced in this line of work, and he finds him. It's his former son-in-law, Peter. He deals in illegal substances on the side and can offer real advice. Annie doesn't give up on getting closer to Al, and in the end, she succeeds. The two of them have a pretty enjoyable time together. At a cafe where the trio meets up again in full, They learn that their meager pensions will all go to pay off utility debts. That's the last straw for Al, and now he's ready to join his friends. Joe, Al, and Willy head to one of Peter's contacts, a guy nicknamed Jesus, who owns a pet store as a front, inside of which there's actually a den for dealing illegal substances. The old-timers lay out their plan, but Jesus is skeptical. A heist like this is beyond what pensioners can pull off. Joe, the calmest of the bunch, convinces him they'll manage, because they've got nothing to lose. The would-be robbers offer 20% of the take in exchange for his help. After thinking it over, Jesus agrees to the caper. That evening, the future bank robbers have dinner at a bar, and Willy shares his dark predictions about who among them will go first. On average, by his math, it works out they have roughly 25 years ahead of them. Joe takes on the task of calculating how much they need to steal from the bank to cover all that time. And so the active prep for the heist begins. Together with Jesus, the friends develop the plan for the upcoming raid. They visit the bank, study the cameras, the guards, and escape options. They even choose a new proper getaway car. In their mentor's view, that's the single most important thing. It must attract zero attention. Of course, they can't forget to keep in shape. Al's girlfriend Annie helps with that. And the friends can't do without airtight alibis either, so they have to pick the most suitable day for the heist. One day, they even show up at the bank with stopwatches to time how long the robbery would take. 5 minutes is way too long, says the seasoned Jesus. Go that slow, and they'll be behind bars before they even know what hit them. The whole crew trains hard and practices shooting just in case anything goes sideways. The day before the heist, the friends gather at Willy's place and watch a movie together, like they always did. They're wildly nervous about tomorrow, the day that will decide the rest of their lives. And then 0 hour arrives. Looks like Joe didn't sleep at all. He invites his former son-in-law over, hoping he'll step in if their plan goes bust. After all, someone will need to take care of his granddaughter. Maybe making breakfast and doing the school run will help him become a decent dad? Joe all but orders Peter to finally be a real father. At last, the tension hits its peak. The heist begins. To build alibis, the friends head to an outdoor festival ahead of time and try to chat with as many acquaintances as possible, so later, those people can easily confirm they were there during the robbery. At the appointed hour, they meet in the van, put on odd masks, and walk into the bank. Firing blanks into the air, they order everyone to the floor. At first, everything goes to plan. They more or less calmly collect the cash from the staff. But Willy gets distracted by a child with a doll, and the banker sees the moment. Someone manages to hit the panic button. The girl with the doll nearly yanks off Willy's mask when he unwisely engages with her, but he reacts just in time. From nerves and the stuffiness, his condition suddenly worsens. At that moment, the bank manager grabs a pistol and fires, hitting the glass. But Joe takes control of the situation and scares him with more blanks. A shootout starts, but luckily no one is hurt, except the manager's self-esteem. All three friends leave the scene in the van, then split up in different directions so as not to draw extra attention. That evening, they celebrate the score at a fancy restaurant, and Al even plays the saxophone. However, after dinner, Willy feels horribly ill and has to call an ambulance. At the hospital, his friends visit. They're furious he didn't tell them about his illness earlier, but they still support him. Meanwhile, the FBI posts the robbery footage online to find potential witnesses. The supermarket manager the friends tried to rob the day before notices the similarity in the robber's gait and height and reports it to the police. Naturally, the police follow up on that lead. Willy and Joe are brought to the station. Since Willy isn't transportable, the cops have to question him right at the hospital. The friends feed the investigators a pre-cooked story about what they were doing on the day of the robbery. In reality, Joe burned the masks, then handed Jesus his cut as agreed, and afterward went back to the festival, where he made sure to hit the cameras several more times. And Willy parked the van in a lot near the festival and walked off from there with a spotless alibi. But the FBI agent deflates them just when they're sure everything went smoothly. All three are put through a tough interrogation, a reenactment and a lineup. The trio holds firm, acting dopey and playing the part of eccentric old men. Al even shocks the detective with an unexpected confession about his bedroom prowess. Suddenly, the little girl with the doll shows up for the in-person identification. She notices the watch on his wrist, the one she remembered during the heist, but she doesn't give him up, saying the robber isn't in this room. The cops have to let all the suspects go. Joe meets Jesus at a cafe and gets the puppy his granddaughter dreamed about. Jesus doesn't even take his cut, because society's duty is to take care of the older generation. And then Joe realizes Jesus is the very robber he saw in the bank, and the tattoo on his neck had been applied with henna on purpose. Suddenly, an FBI agent walks into the cafe and hands Joe the wallet he forgot. The guys split the bank's money among their former co-workers. Al donates a kidney to Willy, and Joe makes his granddaughter's dream come true, while his son-in-law steps back up to his responsibilities. Soon, Al marries Annie, and they throw a wonderful wedding. And at last, everything works out for the best, just like Willy wished. This is the end of the film. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this film, and see you in new videos.